ChainClips97, and today I'm bringing you some information on the new DSR options. Nvidia driver update 344.48. Check it real quick. You have to excuse me. I've been working on some this is the best microphone. I've been doing the best I can. It should sound pretty good, but with OBS and its noise gate, it has issues. So we're going to try to work through it and see what we can do. But this is driver number 344.48. With this driver, you get support of dynamic super resolution on certain Kepler and Fermi-based desktop GPUs. Now, as of right now, the internet seems to think for some reason that this is only available to the 900 series GPUs. That is incorrect. It actually was even working on a friend of mine's 660 Ti as well. So, and it does it really good. The key factor for this DSR technology is basically it's allowing you to play at a resolution that your monitor would not normally. So in other words, I have a 1080p monitor that runs at 144 hertz. You'll see I'm at 1080p right now. And if I go to control panel, you'll see that I'm running at 144 hertz. Now, normally, you'll see right here that there is no option to go above my normal native resolution of 1920 by 1080. It is absolutely impossible. As far as the computer knows, this is only a 1080p monitor, and it will not allow the graphics card to display the information any higher than 1080p. According to the Nvidia website, and I'm not sure if this is going to pop up for you guys or not. Maybe it is. But basically, our new Maxwell architecture introduces a raft of innovative, exciting technologies that make your gaming better in dramatic ways. Of these new features, dynamic super resolution is most immediately impactful, enhancing any game that supports resolutions above 1920 by 1080. Simply put, it renders a game at higher, more detailed resolution, intelligently shrinks the result back down to the resolution of your monitor, getting you 4K quality graphics on any screen. Basically, what it's doing is it's allowing the game to be rendered by the GPU at a higher resolution past 1080. Then it's downscaling that image to fit your screen so that it doesn't look completely out of control. What this does is anytime you do such things with downsampling, such as like with streaming or recording, whenever you downscale, it basically takes a larger image, a higher pixel rate, and it downsizes that image. And what that does is it actually gives you a clearer image because you can't really see the definition between the pixels anymore. So it's almost like as if you took a picture and you stood right up to it, you'd be able to see the dots where it was printed. But if you stand farther away, you won't be able to see those dots. Well, it's initially doing the same thing. It's rendering it at 4K, and then it's downscaling it. So any type of artifacting that you would normally get, even on a 4K monitor, you would not get now because it's been downscaled, and you don't lose any image quality according to Nvidia. I actually was quite surprised. I was able to run this fairly well. I have a 780 Ti gigahertz edition, which runs stock about 1228 when the game starts running. That is a little bit higher than it's supposed to. I don't know why, but this card pushes really hard all on its own. It sits here at 1084. The moment I start up a game, it'll actually jump up to 1228. When I did start running the 4K, I did mess around and actually have the card running around 1320, 1330 on air. And the way that I do that is I basically increase my fan speed like this immediately, and you'll probably hear it. I don't know if you guys are picking that up, but hopefully not. But basically, before I start the game, I go ahead and run my fan speed as fast as possible. What that does is instead of chasing your thermal power and adjusting the fan, you're going ahead and you're lowering the temperature of the GPU right off the bat. So therefore, it's starting off at a lower temperature. It's going to have to work harder to climb those temperatures. Whereas the other way you do it, where it does it automatically, is it basically checks the temperature of the GPU and then makes a correction on on the fan side of things. So the other thing I do is I have a liquid-cooled CPU. It's a 9590. I use the 8150 cooler that I got with my 8150. They're the same thing. and I run that. You will definitely hear this. I run this on extreme too. When I'm doing anything like benchmarking or I'm trying to push my system, um, it's a really good way to try to squeeze out a little more FPS or squeeze out a little bit more power and guarantee that you're running as cold as you can possibly go. So when I fire this thing up, you're definitely going to hear it. That's the CPU cooler. So, those are the two things that I do. Now moving on to the actual DSR implementation itself. What you'll do is you'll go to your Nvidia control panel, and if it's supported, you'll come down here to manage your 3D settings. And when you manage your 3D settings, you're going to have an option down here for Dsr Factors. Now, it's going to be a multiple of what your current resolution is, your native resolution. So in other words, like half of, 2 times would be 1440. 4 times is going to be 4K. The other thing you can do is Dsr Smoothness. Once you enable something over here, you'll see that you get a Dsr Smoothness. What they say this does is, down here it says lower values produce a sharper but more aliased image. Higher values produce a smoother but blurrier image. I was actually getting the same frame rate, if not a little better, by dropping this to 0, which is supposed to give you a sharper image, which should technically tax the GPU further. It didn't seem to do that to me. I'm not sure. I also had a lot of problems with my 780 Ti on the previous drivers, with Battlefield especially. Not able to run Battlefield consistently whatsoever. Pretty much like spending 95% of the time crashing within minutes of starting the game. This new driver completely settled that out for me with my 780 Ti. Also seemed to help a couple other people that had 750s and the new 970s as well. So we had another guy with a 970 that's been having issues. The new driver seemed to help him, and it definitely helped out a couple people with the 750. So you definitely want to try to update your drivers before you do this, because this won't even be an option for you without this new 344.48 driver. So basically, you figure out what you want to run. If you have a higher graphics card, to give you an idea, 4K for me, I was able to run at Ultra on Battlefield 4 around 60 to 70 FPS with my 780 Ti, and I would get dips into the 45s, 50 range, which for 4K, man, that's pretty good to me. I didn't actually expect to be able to do that as my computer sat. Maybe I underestimated my 780 Ti. I'm not sure, but this thing is an absolute beast, and it destroyed Battlefield. I mean, it made it look gorgeous. I don't know if you would actually get a better picture if you were using a native 4K resolution monitor. I would assume you probably would, but with the way that it downscales, you really can't beat it, because you are going to get a clean image. Now, you're going to have a high-end GPU to do these things, especially with some of these other games. So, for instance, the 780 Ti, I use Shadow of Mordor, and I ran with HD Ultra Texture Pack. Well, they suggest using no less than 6 gigs of video RAM. I was able to run Shadow of Mordor with my 3 gig 780 Ti gigahertz on Ultra everything, benchmarking around 85 FPS average. I dropped, my lowest was at the very beginning of the startup while it was still loading the map almost, kind of like when it first starts, and it was around 20, 25. I never saw 25 again once we started rolling, but for a split second, I guess it recorded 25 as the lowest FPS. So the Shadow of Mordor, 6 gigs to run Ultra HD texture packs, throw that out the window. I don't know if that was, something, a partnership with Nvidia to try to sell these bigger, higher-end video cards, but it was already ludicrous to begin with, because almost nobody has 6 gigs of video RAM. And I'm here to tell you right now, you do not have to have 6 gigs of video RAM. Now, I would definitely use at least 3, and that's what I was using. If you have 4, you're probably doing even better. But like I said, Ultra everything, I was able to run the game at 85 FPS. Now, and that was at 1080p. When I switched over to 4K, crippled me. I was literally running around 25 to 30 max, and I have to do some further tests, because there's one thing that you have to understand about 4K resolution. 4K resolution is so clear, so detailed, and so high of a resolution that you absolutely need no anti-aliasing. So, whereas when you go into a game and it says anti-aliasing, such as Battlefield 4, it says anti-aliasing. You want to do 2x, 4x, 8x, or whatever it says. You want to remove any anti-aliasing whatsoever. You don't need it. It's just an extra tax on your video RAM. So if you're trying to run something high, a high HD texture video game, and you're trying to run it 4K, you might not be able to run it. Whereas if you take off the anti-aliasing, bam, you're able to run it at a smooth frame rate. For instance, with Battlefield 4, with and without, I was running about 30 frames on ultra everything. As soon as I took it off, I was in the 60 to 70 frame rate, which was beautiful. You do not need it. There are absolutely no jaggies once you hit 4K. I haven't really played around with the 1440, which that's my next plan is to see how 1440 works, and I need to retry the benchmark on Shadows of Mordor and make sure that I took off the anti-aliasing. I don't know if I did or not. It was getting late into the night. I kind of forgot about it. So what you'll do is anytime you want to try to run the 1440, you could probably get away with either very low anti-aliasing or no anti-aliasing as well. But the 4K, definitely no anti-aliasing. You will get a massive frame rate increase. Because basically the two things that shoot through video RAM are anti-aliasing, lighting, shadowing, things like that, and your resolution. If you get rid of the anti-aliasing, now you've freed up all your video RAM for your new resolution. So basically, what that's going to show you is you're going to get such clear gameplay. I mean, it wasn't worth the money if I had to go out and buy another 780 Ti and a monitor to get 4K. But if you have a high-end graphics card and you want to see what 4K looks like or get close to 4K, this is definitely something to look into. It does look a lot better. It's not as big as a difference from when I went from 60 hertz monitor to 144. That was literally mind-blowing. It's almost impossible for me to play anything under 120 hertz anymore. Especially at FPS, it feels slow. It feels sluggish. I don't feel like the game is running at full speed. I feel like it was back when I used to run 60 frames and I would get 30 frame drops. Back when I first built my computer with a lower end card. That's the kind of feeling I get when something runs 60 frames now. But it is gorgeous. 4K does look good. It's pretty cool to mess around with. So what you'll do is you'll make sure that you turn it on here. Like I said, if you're running 1080p, 2 times will be about 1440, 4 times will be 4K. Then you're going to do your smoothness. I recommend 0. It's going to give you a better quality image, and it didn't seem to impact my frame rate. It actually seemed to help my frame rate. But if you're having issues, you might want to play with this and bump it up all the way and see what that gives you. It'll probably help anti-alias the game a little bit, but it's going to definitely give you a little bit of the blur that anti-aliasing gives you. Now, the second thing you're going to do, and I'm not going to change this over at this point in time because I'm sure it'll probably freak OBS out completely. So, and I don't want to remake this whole video right now. So what you'll do is you'll change it there, okay? You'll change it over here, you'll hit apply. Once you hit apply, turn this off. Once you put it on what you want to and you hit apply, you're going to come in and you're going to notice no difference. It's going to look like nothing has actually happened whatsoever. And you're going to think, oh my God, this doesn't even work. You're going to have to come in here and change your screen resolution. What you will notice is now, instead of having the 1920, you will have the option for 4K if you put it on 4 times. If you put it on 2 times, you should have the option for 1440. I tried 1440 last night on the desktop, and it seemed to be a little wonky. It didn't quite seem to be right compared to the 4K. 4K was perfect. Now, what you're going to notice when you switch to 4K, everything on your screen is going to get extremely small. And I mean extremely small, except for my mouse cursor, which for some reason got bigger. Now, you can play around with your desktop options and zoom in and zoom out or whatever you want to do to make your icons bigger. But the way that I'm going to use this and the way that I think it's pretty much designed to be used is strictly for when you're playing a game. So if the icons become really small, it's not a big deal because you're only playing the game. In the game, everything doesn't get really small. It doesn't, it's not like you can't read text or anything, because what happens is after you adjust it here in the control panel, or I mean on your desktop, you're going to have to make sure that it's done in the control panel as well. So you'll switch everything over I showed you before. You'll change your resolution here. Your resolution change here should affect your desktop. If it doesn't, right-click your desktop, do your screen resolution. This works for Windows 7 and Windows 8.1. And then once you're inside the game, you have to actually change over to the new higher resolution as well. Once you do that, that's when the moment you'll notice your frame rate drops. That's the moment you'll notice that your game is actually now running in 4K and looks better. Other than that, that's pretty much the gist of it. There's nothing really else to it. Just watch your temperatures, you know, if you're overclocking and things like that, because you are going to be pushing your card to the absolute limit if you're running anything below a 980 right now, or even 780 Ti. Like I said, my 780 Ti, which runs Battlefield about 150 to 175 on ultra everything, liquid smooth, runs this game at 4K at around the 60 to 70, and I do get 40 FPS drops. So it's cool. It's probably a lot more fun if you're playing like single player. I don't know if you can be competitive multiplayer, because it's really hard for me to go below the 100 frame rate mark on multiplayer, because it's so much smoother, and sometimes I almost feel like I'm cheating, because it's just, my movements are so much smoother. I'm able to run, jump, 180 spin, kill somebody, you know, things like that. When it slows down the frame rates, it feels like it chops up. It feels like it's not quite as smooth as I'm used to. So if you're used to 60 frames or even 30 frames, hey, this might be a good thing for you. If you're the type of person that has a 60 hertz monitor and you're getting 150 frames out of your video card, try 4K, because anything over 60 frames on a 60 hertz monitor, you're not seeing it anyway. So you might as well use those extra frames and try to, you know, play your game at 4K or something at a higher resolution. As far as right now, this works great. I'm using the BenQ, what is it? BenQ XL2720Z, 144 hertz MLG gaming monitor. It should work with other monitors. It worked with my buddy's Samsung, which is about 8 years old, 1080p, with the 660 Ti and a 550 Ti as a physics card. He obviously was not able to play some games, others he was. So, you know, you guys just check it out, see what you can do with it, see what you like. It's definitely pretty cool. I mean, you don't have to go out and buy a new monitor. You don't have to go out and buy a new card. They've really done their homework, and this is why you pay a little bit more for Nvidia. But look at the things you get. Look at the options you get. AMD, where you at? Ain't doing nothing yet. You know, if you got to, put the money into the GPU, save some money on the processor. You know, Intel processors are going to play games a little bit better. I have a 9590, cost me about $330, $319 without the liquid cooling kit. And for me to get that performance, I would have to get, I think, a 4770K, which at the time was about $1,000. So, and it was pulling out about 8 to 12 FPS across the board faster than my card. So if you really want those 12 FPS for another $700, by all means, if you have the money, hey, that's cool. But like I said, when you hit unless you have a monitor that can show those frames, there's no point in it. So in other words, if I had got the extra 12 FPS and I'm already running Battlefield at 150 to 175, I'm going to get 12 more FPS out of the Intel $1,000 processor, yes, but I won't see them anyway, because I'm already hitting the threshold of 144 FPS because of my 144 hertz monitor. So that's something to keep in mind. If you guys have any other questions, let me know. I have an actual a new store where you can pick up all your games for very cheap. The store is very reliable. I got my game key within 5 minutes for Shadow of Mordor. It cost me $26 with DLC. I'll put a link to that store in the bottom, and this will be it right here. Middle Road. There we go. This is the store, and this is what you'll actually see. They have a lot of games for cheap. Shadow of Mordor is still on sale. Gauntlet, 16 bucks. I mean, they really have everything for dirt cheap. Also, because I have a partnership with them, they notify me all the time of all the updates. And then as more people purchase games through my link, it'll actually give me free giveaways, which I will in return give away to the community and the YouTube channel and some of the people that are part of our Sin gaming community. I'll post links to all the things below. We do have a gaming community of about 45-50 people with multiple Battlefield servers. You can look us up. It's called Syndicate Gaming. You will find our servers on Battlefield 4 under Cush Syndicate. And if you guys enjoy Battlefield 4 or any other games, hit me up. Add me on Origin, add me on Steam, and drop me a comment in the section. Please like or subscribe if you like the videos. There's going to be a lot more to come. And if you have any questions on the computers, feel free to let me know. Other than that, SpanClips97 signing off. You guys have a great day.